Hi, welcome to Lord of the Board. My name is Sam, and today we are going to be going over my top 50 board games of all time. I have never done a video like this. I haven't even done a top 10 of all time. And so I thought that in 2026, we were going to be bringing in some new stuff to Lord of the Board, and this is going to be one of those things. I'm very, very excited to share with you basically just like my favorite games. I think a lot of you know some of my top games. You might know some games that I really, really love, but this is going to be a way for you to get an idea of where I'm at with my current top 50. Now, a couple of kind of caveats and things to discuss before we get started. And that is going to be that one, if a game is on here that you think should be on here, that's probably because you're not me. So this is my opinion. If a game's not on here, doesn't mean I hate it. There's so many things. Like, this is such a subjective thing. I'm also not the type that's like, some of these will never move or shift. There are definitely some staples, but I'm okay with adding in new games to the fold if they are something that is exciting me right now. So I'm actually curious to see how that changes over the course of multiple years and which games are added and falling off and such. So that is something I'm very, very interested in. The other thing is, this video would not exist if I decided to do B-roll for all 50 of these games. I've tried to figure it out with another baby coming soon and current baby that I still have. There is just like a lot of stuff, and I used to be able to film a ton of B-roll, and now whenever I try to do a ton of B-roll, it ends up just kind of crashing and burning in my face. So I decided that the list was going to be primarily no B-roll, but at minimum there will be B-roll for the final 10, which would be the 5th video in this series. So yeah, that's another thing. I'm breaking up the video into 5 videos, as a lot of creators do. So today's going to be going over my 50th pick to 41st pick. All right, enough chatter, enough talking. Let's get in to the list, starting with my number 50, and that is going to be Wild Tiled West. This is a 2023 game. It is 1 through 5 players. This is published by Direwolf and is designed by Paul Dennen, the same designer as Clank and Dune Imperium. Wild Tiled West is a fantastic game. I think one of the main reasons why it is on this list is because it is the only kind of polyomino game that I actually enjoy. It is the only game that has allowed me to really, really love placing tiles onto a grid. That has never been a mechanic that has intrigued me. I've never been interested in games that contain this mechanic, but that is pretty much Wild Tiled West. At the beginning of the game, you're going to be grabbing a board, and we always use the asymmetric boards, the harder ones. They basically have special rules on them for how you can place certain tiles. And kind of just ways to score more points. Well, you're also going to have bandits in there that you will try and take out with some sheriff pieces that you can grab with tiles. There's a whole bunch of ways to score in this game and place the tiles in strategic locations to get more points. But the reason why I think it's so interesting is the kind of main dice system. So a player on their turn will be rolling dice, and that will actually determine what tiles you can kind of draft from. There are tiles along the grass, and then there are also tiles along the river, and the rules go as thus. You can kind of hop further by spending gold nuggets down the river to grab more tiles, but you cannot do that with the grass. You have to kind of get through the tiles that are on the grass in order to get to better tiles. So you don't really always have access to tiles that you want. It is by the roll of dice to figure out which rows and which columns. But I love that. I love that you always have to be thinking about, okay, should I be spending some more gold nuggets right now to get to the tile that I really need? or not. And it's a really, 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 really fun. I think also just the board puzzle is just a really good one. I know that a lot of people have said it's like overly complex and there's like a lot of rules with like aiming with your sheriff to shoot some of the bandits. I've never found it to be overly complex. This game is fantastic and well deserving of being in my top 50 of all time. That is going to be Wild Wild West. Awesome anthropomorphic cowboy animals too, which is just totally a theme I can get behind. So we're going to go up to 49. This is a 2012 game. It is 2 through 6 players. This is published by Cryptozoic. It is designed by Rob Heinzu and Corey Jones. And this is going to be Epic Spell Wars. The first one that came out was Epic Spell Wars Battle at Mount Skullsfire. There has been a ton of Epic Spell Wars. There have been a deck building game, but this version of the game is the spell crafting version. And I remember watching a playthrough of this game when I was kind of newer to the hobby. And this is one of the games that really sparked an interest in kind of a wider scope of games. So I admit this definitely has some nostalgia connected to it. However, Epic Spell Wars is still a really fun game. I went back and played this even more recently, and I gotta say, it is a blast, an absolute blast. One of the things that I love about it is that you're gonna just have a big hand of 8 cards, and you're trying to put together these ridiculous spells. You'll have kind of a delivery, a source, and like a setup card, and you're gonna be placing them face down, and you could have a spell that is 1, 2, or 3 cards length, but the order of those cards matters. So you're literally building these spells, and they encourage you. In fact, in the rules, it's a part of the rules that you have to use a wizard voice that matches your current wizard in order to cast the spell successfully. But a lot of these spells that you're casting, they do a lot of whack things. Like if you have a full 3-card spell, it ends up doing like, it might heal you or not. It might deal damage to 1 player. It might deal damage to 3 players. If you roll really good on the delivery, maybe you'll get a treasure as well, and you'll have a special ability for the rest of the game now. And really, that's the game. You're putting together these spells and you're blasting each other to smithereens. You're trying to be the last stander. Now, in that original edition of the game, it did last quite long, but the game has had kind of cleaner and cleaner versions with kind of each release. And I think the most recent one has got to be my favorite 1-box package, which is going to be Anarchy at the Arena. Highly recommended. It has rules that make the game not go too long, not too short, and has some really, really cool wizard art. Oh yeah, and also I love the art in this game. I think the art is just fantastic. So that is going to be my 49th pick. That is going to be Epic Spell Wars. Moving on to 48, we have got, I'm going to blanket all of it. This is released in 2019. This is 2 through 4 players. This is published by Restoration Games and designed by Rob Davio and Justin Jacobson. This is going to be the Unmatched game system. I'm not going to pick one set. I'm just going to say all of Unmatched. If you don't know what Unmatched is, it is a kind of hand management, tactical head-to-head board game where you're going to be trying to beat each other up and basically put the opponent's health points to 0 from a variety of different IPs, as well as from folklore and legends. You can go, with like King Arthur versus Alice in Wonderland. You can throw in Robin Hood, Bigfoot. You got Sherlock Holmes, Dracula. You get Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Some Marvel heroes even. Now they've got The Witcher, which is a new set. You get Shakespeare. I mean, think about like something that you like, and there's definitely going to be something that speaks to you in the set. Blackbeard, if you like pirates. I mean, there's just so many characters now. And I think that whenever I come back to the Unmatched games, I realize that this is a game that's probably not going to be leaving this list anytime soon because I just love the system and I just love the vast number of potential characters. The actual game, though, has some cool mechanics that I really enjoy. One of the things that I love the most is the clean system on the way that they do range. And some games like this where, it's like a head-to-head kind of skirmish game, I feel like range is always like a nebulous thing. Like I don't love to like calculate range and see if I can see my opponent. Well, I love the way that they do it in this. It's actually based off of the board. So the board will have circular spaces with paths connecting each. But the color of those spaces could be one color, two color, three color, and if you are doing a ranged attack on someone, you can always hit them if they are in a space that is the same color as your current space. To do melee attacks, they just have to be directly adjacent by a path. And so it's really, really cool because when you look at a board on this, it's like all these like colored circles, and you can see the like strategy and the layout of this board, and you're like, oh, okay, I see. So if I get up on this balcony, I can actually see down. So if I'm a ranged attack character, I can shoot down at all of these players on this balcony. There's a lot of cool things like that. And with these new maps that they've added, they've also added some special rules to some of the maps that make it very interesting, which I really like. But at the end of the day, the game is a hand management game. There are, three types of cards, I guess four types of cards. You've got attack cards, defense cards, schemes, and then ones that are both attack and defense, which is like the purple color card. And when you are making an attack, you want to have either a purple card or a defense in order to kind of soak some of that damage. Otherwise, you're going to be taking the full brunt of it. Each character has a special effect. They have a unique deck of cards with some cards that are going to be the same in each deck. There's some staples that need to be in each deck. And yeah, it's just a blast of a time. It is so fun to just randomize which character we're going to be and just play a game. We primarily play this game 2 players. I have tried a whack free-for-all mode where I basically just had all my friends play a character. We played like 6 players. That was really, really fun. Totally unbalanced. Blast though. So I think the game is just really, really cool that you can just kind of approach it the way you want to and have a great time. So that is going to be my pick number 48, the Unmatched game system. Off to 47. This game is it's really risen up on my list. This is going to be Rebel Princess. This is a 2024 release. This is 3 through 6 players, published by Bezier Games, and designed by Daniel Byrne, Jose Guerrero, and Kevin Pelez, and Terso Virgos. I'm sure I got a lot of those pronunciations incorrect, and I'm very sorry. But Rebel Princess is a trick-taking game, and I think it's really funny that it's in a top 50 of all time. But I mean, it's not as funny when you realize that I was a huge fan of Hearts before this. This is basically just the game of Hearts with special powers and wacky round rules that change up the game. And I know that for some Hearts purists, that sounds like absolute chaos, and it is. For me, I love the fact that it's absolute chaos. I love the special abilities that can pop off, and I love the round by round special rules that happen. If you don't know what Hearts is at all, and you don't know what a trick-taking game is at all, I'll give you the quick pitch. It's a card game that can be played with a standard deck of playing cards traditionally. That's like trick-taking in general, where one player is going to be playing a card from their hand, and then other players in clockwise fashion have to usually follow the suit. In Hearts, you have to follow the suit. So if I play a Hearts card, the next player has to play a Hearts card, and so on. Whoever played the highest Hearts card will win the trick, taking all those cards into their kind of score pile. In this game, you are actually trying to avoid getting these Prince cards, which is the blue suit in this. They are going to be worth points or a certain number of proposals. And since you're a Rebel Princess, you're trying to avoid getting those proposals. And so what's really fun about this game is that let's say you don't have any cards that match the lead suit. So a player leads with the queen suit, which is the red suit. You don't have any reds in your hand, but you do have a prince. You can throw the prince in there, and that means whoever wins that trick will take that prince into their score pile, which is not good. You're trying to get as close to 0 as possible. You do not want positive points in this game. But at the beginning of each of these like rounds, you're going to be passing cards either to the left or to the right, and there's going to be special rules, some of which really change the game, like setting aside a card at the beginning of each trick-taking round, and then at the end of it, you'll flip that card, or you might play blindly, or you might pass more cards from your hand than typical. There's just like so many different ways, or typically the highest card wins the trick, but this round the lowest card wins the trick, or this round the card that's played offsuit wins the trick. Rebel Princess is just so much, and I think that's why it's just fantastic. It's like every time I've played it, it's just a new found appreciation for just the vast variety of round to round, and I can play it with anybody, and I think that is phenomenal. You can always take away the special power princess cards. You can also just take away the round by round special rules. If you just want to play a nice solid game with beautiful artwork of hearts, you can do that with this deck. And so that is why Rebel Princess is here at spot number 47. Moving up to 46, which is a Jest of Robin Hood. This is a 2024 release. This is 2 players. It is by GMT Games, and it is designed by Fred Serval, who I must say I am so proud of. I have been a friend of Fred's for a while now. I've been a huge fan of his channel for even longer. This is the gentleman that got me into wargaming. Through his channel, through his friendship, I have found myself a whole slew of very unique games that are going to be popping up in the future. And so I owe a lot to Fred, truly. And if you have not checked out his channel, please do so. I'll have a link down in the description. It is Homo Ludens. He is a fantastic human being with a fantastic channel. Also a fantastic designer, because A Jest of Robin Hood is such a good game. This is a kind of coin light 2-player game. If you don't know what coin is a counterinsurgency system, where it's basically a war game where you are very asymmetric, where you're trying to fulfill very specific goals. In Jest of Robin Hood, it is a smaller scale of that type of war game, where it is going to be somebody's going to be playing Robin Hood and the band of merry men versus the sheriff of Nottingham, and a battle between order and justice. And so there will be a tracker that's going to be going up and down throughout the game, more towards order, where the sheriff is trying to pull it towards that direction, and more towards justice, where the Robin Hood player is trying to push it towards. But each side also has these unique concepts, like the Robin Hood player has access to the forests and has special bonuses there. Also has a Robin Hood piece, which will be hidden and can do some really cool special abilities, some feats with that piece. And the Sheriff of Nottingham has to worry about these carriages that will have money and supplies. They're trying to kind of navigate these carriages through the land, trying to get them to Nottingham or their castle, and trying to kind of get that money to themselves. But they're, worrying about an ambush from the Robin Hood and the band of merry men. You're also going to have a ton of kind of battle of the people of this land. So different towns will have, whether they'll be loyal to the sheriff or they'll be in a rebellious state where they will kind of be working for Robin Hood. So it really teaches a lot of these really good concepts that apply to other coin games, but in a way that is very easy to understand and a bit lighter. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think this game is fantastic, is that I got my wife to play it, and Kate was more interested in coin than she's ever been. She's now played coin game because of Jest of Robin Hood. So this game is here because it is the perfect game to get people to play some of my favorite kinds of games. And while at it, has amazing artwork, looks fantastic. It was high up in my rankings of games of 2024 and made an immediate entrance into my top 50 of all time the year it released. So that is going to be Jest of Robin Hood, number 46. We are now going to be moving to number 45. This is a social deduction game with a theme that has been regarded as, let's just say you want to make sure that people are comfortable with this theme before you play. This is a game released in 2012. It is 5 through 10 players, published by Goat Wolf and Cabbage Games. This is designed by Mike Boxleiter and Tommy Merange and Max Temkin. Meranges and Max Temkin. This is going to be Secret Hitler. This is a game where one player will be playing. This is a game where you are going to be either a part of the fascists or a part of the liberals side. And there are these cards that are called policies, and the liberals are trying to get liberal policies passed, and the fascists are trying to get fascist laws passed. And a certain number of these laws passed either way will determine which side kind of wins the game. There are also a president and a chancellor. In each round, the president will be elected, and then the president will choose and elect a chancellor. And these are the two figures that are going to be kind of putting these policies into play. Now, there's a deck of these tiles with all these different policies. And what will happen is the president will, in a given round, draw 3 of these, look at them, hide 1 without showing anybody else, pass 2 to the chancellor, and then the chancellor will look at them, hide 1 without showing anybody else, and enact that policy. And so what will end up happening is a lot of players will, especially if you're a fascist, you might look at these policies and be like, I've got a liberal and a fascist policy. I'm going to go ahead and discard the liberal policy and lie and say that I saw 2 fascist policies. And there you go. That's the kind of chaos that will happen in this game. Once the game kind of escalates to a certain number of rounds, there will be opportunities for the president to choose to take out a player from the game. And they are trying to hunt for the secret Hitler. And also, if Hitler is if Hitler is ever the chancellor after a certain point in the game is over and the fascists win. This game definitely has a theme that, like I said, you want to make sure that people are okay with. But this is a game that we have just had so much fun with. A lot of yelling, a lot of kind of that mind games, like these types of kind of social deduction games are some of my favorite kinds. And yeah, there's just been so many good memories, and that is why it stands at my 45th pick. Moving to number 44. This is going to be Mythic Mischief. This is a 2022 release. 2022 release. This is 1 through 4 players, but we primarily play it at 2. This is by Ivy Studios, and this is designed by Max Anderson, Zach Dixon, and Austin Harrison. This is a abstract strategy game where players are going to be playing kind of different schools in a high school, middle school, I don't remember which one, but they are basically in the secret library or a area that they're not supposed to be in. And these two kind of school groups, they're like, different stereotypes in school, but in this they're different, like the monsters, the fairies, the gnomes, the zombies, the wizards, the witches, all of these different kind of like schools. They're trying to put the other students in front of the tome keeper, who is kind of guarding and surveying the area. And what you actually get, that all sounds really thematic, but this is actually just an abstract strategy game where you are trying to use your specific faction's special way of moving enemy pieces to get them in the path of this tome keeper. This tome keeper is going to be moving between spot 1, then 2, then 3, and so you'll know kind of the path. But then you're going to be trying to direct walls to get in front of the tome keeper to guide that path, or you'll be manipulating the opponent's pieces to get in front in order to get these catches, which are going to be scoring you a point. And you're trying to be the first to 10 points or 10 catches. But also on top of that, you have this kind of board management mini game where you can upgrade these abilities. You might be able to make yourself be able to move more, or make yourself be able to taunt the opponent taunt the tome keeper to actually move towards your pieces. Tons of different ways, and your special way of moving other players' pieces, and your special way of moving walls. You can upgrade those with these little book tomes that are going to be littered around the board. So you're also going to be kind of building up your board the way you want to, while also trying to score points. What you get is a clever mind game. This is one of the crunchiest games. It's super cozy looking, but it's one that you're going to sit down, you're going to think really hard about each move you make, and you're going to be beating yourself up for making the wrong move. But production quality is absolutely fantastic. I've been playing this game for quite some time. It is my favorite game by Ivy Studios. I think they did just an amazing job with this. And it also has a fantastic app if you are wanting to try it out on your phone before buying that fantastic production. So that is going to be Mythic Mischief, my pick number 44. Now moving on to 43, we have got a game that just released last year. So a brand new game that moved immediately up to my top 50 of all time. This is 2025. It is 1 through 4 players. This is by Eerie Idle Games, designed by Pablo Clark. This is the Old King's Crown. And this is a game that I could see rising up with even more plays. I actually went into a tournament of this game, got to the finals, I might add, and it was a great time. But also, I just really love this game. I was actually on the original Kickstarter of the game, where I played kind of not the full game, but it's gotten just so good with its final form. If you don't know what this is a kind of lane battler, but really it's just a mesh of a ton of different mechanics. But it's a lane battler. It's a game of kind of gambits and tricky card play. You're going to be playing one of 4 factions who's trying to gain a certain number of influence by the end of the game's round, or really the most influence by the end of the game's rounds. And you're going to be playing a card in each of the kind of 3 theaters of play. Now, each of these 3 theaters, though, has 2 different locations that each have an ability and a influence amount that you would gain if you win that area. And so you also have this kind of flagship piece, your I actually forgot. They're Herald. And every player is going to be putting out their Herald on the board. It might be a way to say, hey, I'm going towards this. It also might be a way to distract other players from what you're really going towards. But if you win in a lane that has your Herald and you take that location bonus, you're going to get even more influence. So you are incentivized to win the area that your Herald's at. But like I said, you could be using it to throw the other players off. In fact, that's what this whole game is. It's throwing the other players off. It's learning all the crazy interactions, because that is why this game is so much fun. All of these cards, pretty much every player is going to start with a basic deck that will be the same. But there's upgradable things that you can add to your deck, upgradable cards that each deck has that are very unique. They all each have 4 abilities that are also very unique. That might be, you can use it, 1 to 3 times. And that is where like the asymmetry really kicks in. But on top of that, there are these kingdom cards, this kind of road up at the top, and you're going to be using cards from your hand to bid for those at the beginning of each round as well. And I love this game because it's so complex, but it's really simple, and I don't know how else to say it. Like, it is just that way. It is a wildly interesting and engaging experience. But at the end of the day, it's just like a lane battler, and you could just as easily put 3 cards down, don't think about it at all, probably have a good time, but definitely lean into the chaos in that way. And there is a lot of chaos, especially in those early plays. But as you start to learn the game, as you start to learn the cards, as you start to figure out when to use your supporters, when to pull out of a conflict, when to go and bid high for certain kingdom cards, these all play a huge part into being good at this game. And being good at this game is a very rewarding experience to get your plans to go through. And that is why Old King's Crown, even though being a pretty new game, moved straight into my top 50 of all time. Hope you get a chance to check it out. That is going to be number 43. My 42nd pick is going to be a 2007 release. This is going to be 3 through 5 players, currently published by Pandasaurus Games. I think it's had some other publishers, like its first publisher was not Pandasaurus, and it is designed by Doug Eckhart. This is going to be Tammany Hall, a game in which you are going to be playing basically New York mob bosses. It is an area control game, a game of influence, a game of negotiation, a game of backstabbing, and also temporary alliances. All of which are things that I absolutely adore if you know me. This is like the perfect game for me and my friends. We love all these kinds of concepts. But yeah, this is a game in which you are trying to kind of gain the support of immigrants as you were trying to put them into certain sectors of New York. You'll then be able to send your kind of ward bosses into Manhattan to secure votes, but also to slander your political opponents. An election will be held at the end of every 4th year, and the winner of these elections has... Well, for one, it means that they're doing really well in the game. But one of my favorite aspects is that if you're the winner of these elections, you actually have to assign these special powers or these offices to your opponents. So every player is your friend. They're also your enemy. You have temporary alliances with each. It's a wild, wild time. It's also not a super complex board game to learn, but it has this very like mean and elegant feel to it that feels a lot bigger than its rule set. And the thematics of it are very well put together. I love that it's got a little bit of kind of bidding, a little bit of area majority. Those kinds of things are very, very fun. And I also love the negotiation aspect of, players saying, hey, give me this power and, I'll help out over here. Maybe I'll let you win this election. How about that? Lots of that kind of talk. But like I said, the backstabbing really matters because you can make these deals, but they're not binding. And so there is a lot of shenanigans that can go on. Tammany Hall is certainly not for everyone, but it's a game that has been in my list the last couple of times that I've put it together, and it has fluctuated so wildly. Like sometimes it'll be like up there in the 20s, and then sometimes it'll be kind of down here in the 40s. And I just think that's a good testament that this game is fantastic, and I haven't played it in a while, and so that's probably why it's where it's at. But thing is, this game's fantastic. You should go play it. Please go play it. Tammany Hall rules. All right, let's move on to number 41, the last game that we are going to be talking about today, and that is going to be the first PAX game on the list, definitely not the last one. This is a 2021 release. It is 1 through 6 players. I primarily played it 2 through 4 players, one game at 5, and I really liked that also. This is published by Ion Games and designed by John Manker. This is PAX Viking. PAX games are whack. I'm not going to try to describe what a PAX game is, but I do know that I love PAX games. I guess I can describe a little bit. Like they're usually political games where you are playing actors or factions that are kind of outside of said conflict, trying to influence the game state to benefit you. Typically, you're not in control of certain powers. In PAX Viking, you kind of are in control of certain powers. PAX games are a lot of things. Guess what I'm trying to say. What every game, for the most part, does contain is variable victory conditions. And one thing that I love about PAX Viking is you are going to be playing Vikings that are going to be going along seas and rivers, trying to secure their influence and spread their support amongst 4 different types of followers. You can gain the support of Jarls, Sweden, the Theocracy, as well as the Rus. And some of those are going to be tied to victory conditions. All of them also will give you kind of a special influence action if you are the most influenced in that particular group. But there's also these things, and this is the main major point of the game, called saga tiles. And there's going to be a fluctuating market of saga tiles, and this is a staple in PAX games. PAX games love their open markets. And you will be acquiring these saga tiles through this market, and where you put that tile changes the context of it entirely. So on your Jarl board, which is basically your player board, it's going to have a special ability, character name, all of that jazz. But on there, you'll be able to place, certain types of saga tiles that will give you even more abilities, even more fluctuating options, and a way to kind of place those certain supporters of those different kind of 4 groups. That's one of the ways you can get out those cubes. Those discs. There's like gods, there's powers, all that jazz. There's like gods and powers, but there's also spaces on the board themselves, and you can actually place them on the board, because not only do you have kind of your, board, your player board, but you also have these boats, these long ships that are going to be going around, and you will be able to activate abilities that those boats are on as well. So not only is the market fluctuating, but the board state is slowly being created in all of these different north, east, west, south winds of the map. And you are trying to figure out, navigate a way in order to get one of these different objectives completed. And I love that they include multiple, like, really difficult objectives and really easy objectives and medium difficulty objectives. And in order to set up the game, you're going to be grabbing a certain number of those types of objectives. This game rewards players that are willing to open up, shift their strategy at any point, and try and just be in the right space at the right time. Which sounds like I'm describing all PAX games, but I love PAX Viking. I think this one is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite PAX games at the 2-player count, which is wild because I did not expect to like it at 2. But like, just as some examples of like some of the victory conditions, you might want to get all of your Rus followers out onto the board. So you're trying to look for Rus saga tiles so that you can get them all out, looking for ways to place them down. And then in order to actually win the game, an event has to happen in order to do a victory check. And events are randomly, well, not completely randomly, but put through that saga tile deck. So they will be coming up and acquired by players. And so you might be there being like, I've got a victory condition complete. Now I just have to hold it till an event pops up. That way I can take it and win the game. And that is the magic of PAX games. That is the magic of PAX Viking. I love this game. Extra shout out for the player colors. It has the coolest player colors in all gaming, period. They've got my favorite color of all time, teal. I mean, and like a raspberry color. It's fantastic. Fantastic colors. Games, take some notes. And I love the variety of player counts. This is just a phenomenal game. That is going to be my 41st favorite game of all time, PAX Viking. And so that is it for the first of 5 videos. Next week, we will be talking about number 40 through 31. I am so excited to continue to talk about my top 50 games of all time. If you enjoyed this video, if you're looking forward to future content, please consider supporting the channel. You can do that by liking this video, helping the algorithm push it out to more people. You can comment. Please comment down below what's your kind of 50 through 41 if you have already put together a top list, or what's your favorite game on my list today. I would love to talk with you down there. Other ways you can support is you can join the membership community. And yeah, I'll have the link to that down below. Another way is you can actually buy me a coffee now. This is a new thing. But you know what I realized? In 2026, I'm feeling a little bit tired. So I opened up a way for you to buy me a coffee if you're feeling nice. It's really just like donate. So if you don't want to get into something that's like a monthly support, like memberships, you can just give a donation. That's just a way you can help out the channel and a way to fulfill my coffee addiction for the day. So thank you so much for being here. Special shout out to my members. You are the absolute best. Special shout out to the Lords of the Board, One with Iron and Pal. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next video. Let's go ahead and drop the beat.